Hey guys, and welcome to today's episode of Surviving the Fog. Today we're going to be looking at the Hawkins National Laboratory map, the map that came with the Stranger Things DLC, alongside the Demogorgon Killer, Nancy Wheeler, and Steve Harrington as the survivors. Now, for anyone who hasn't played Dead by Daylight before, or who haven't seen any of the videos and have no idea what totems are, well, every single time a trial starts, there will be 5 totems that will spawn on the map. Now, these 5 totem spawns are pulled from a pool of different spawns that the map has pre-assigned to it, and it will randomly place those 5 totems within those pre-assigned locations. The point of these videos is to help the survivor, or possibly even the killer, locate where these totems might be. So if you're having some issues trying to find that Hex Ruin or possibly Hex Devour Hope, hopefully these videos will help you. So without any further ado, let's get into Hawkins National Laboratory. Alright, to start us off, we're going to start on the ground floor in the hallways, and what better way to start off than at the exit gates. Now, this totem will usually be in the corner of one of the exit gates. Both of the exit gates look slightly different, but there's not a really good way to describe it. So check the corners, check the boxes, you should be able to find one there. The next totem's going to be in the outer corner of the outer hallways. Now, this map has 2 sets of hallways, an outer ring and a central kind of hallway. These totems can be in any of the outer corners, usually behind some boxes and some barrels. So if you're checking that pallet loop, make sure you check for a totem as well. Now, the corner totems are going to be slightly different depending on what direction the corner is facing, how the pallet loop is orientated. This one is going to be in the corner between the barrels. The other one is between the barrel and the box, is more to the wall. So just take a look around the junk pile when you're doing the loop around the corners. Alright, moving away from the corners but still in the outer hallway, this first totem is going to be between 2 large propped up boxes. These can usually be anywhere in the outer hallway, so if you see some boxes or some barrels, keep an eye out for it, and you might be able to spot a totem just between them. Now, this one might be considered an outer hallway, or you might consider it an outer corner. However, it's kind of out of the corner, and there's no pallet loop at this corner, so just check any of the debris or the junk along the walls. If it looks like a hiding spot, odds are there might be a totem there. Now, the hallway tiles kind of extend a little bit further than you might think. They seem to mix in with the corners and the inner hallways and some of the building rooms. So this one right here is kind of an extension of the corner and can kind of feed into the inner hall. So check out, like I said, any barrels or boxes might have a totem between them. Now, as we move from the outer hallway to the inner hallway, there's going to be these intersection points where they meet. A lot of these intersections can hide totems. If you see the bigger junk bits, there's a good chance there might be a totem there. The smaller ones tend not to. This one might have an extension of the junk with a generator next to it, so keep an eye out while you're around it. Now, here's another example of one of the intersection totems. As you notice, these junk bits aren't in the middle of the intersection, rather tucked up against one of the walls. But as you can see, there's also a large cluster of the junks here hiding a totem. So like I said, just keep an eye out and you should find one. Here we have another orientation of one of the intersection totems. As you can see, there's the larger bits of the junk. This one happens to have a pallet with it. As you transition from the normal side into the upside down side, it's normally going to be in the middle of the intersection or up against the wall as you saw before, but it's going to have the larger junk bits, not only like 1 or 2 barrels or boxes around it. Now, moving into the inner hallways, these totems look similar to how the outer hallway totems look, mostly between some junks, like some barrel and some boxes near a generator, that kind of stuff tucked away. These aren't exactly in corners or intersections, but they're usually between the room tile sets and just kind of hanging out there, either up against the wall or kind of outside of the doorway like this one is here. Alright, getting out of the hallways and into the rooms, we're going to start with the iconic portal room that is very well known in this map. This one has a couple totem spawns in it. This first one is going to be on the upper level of the room, just past the glass room area, and you gotta actually jump across at a sprint in order to make it over here. The killers can just walk over, but it's going to be tucked behind this barrel all the way in the upper corner of the room. So if you're in that room, keep an eye out for it. The second and probably the most well-known totem spot in the portal room is going to be behind the boxes in the center on the ground floor of this portal room. It's going to be tucked away underneath the boxes in between them, and you can kind of see it as you're going up the stairs, so not too hard to miss. One of the harder totem spawns that I found in the portal room area is if you go behind the consoles, you'll see this doorway next to the pallet, and if you take a right as soon as you leave the doorway, tucked behind these boxes, you're going to see one of the more elusive totems in the portal room here. So keep an eye out for that one as you're running past. The next room we're going to look at is what I've called the small storage room. It's a relatively small tile, and it looks like a bunch of boxes and barrels. This totem is pretty well hidden. It's actually going to be up under the shelving area, underneath some and between some boxes. So keep an eye out for that one. It's pretty tucked away and pretty easy to miss. This next room we're going to look at is what I've designated the murder room, because as a survivor, if you get caught in here, it is very hard to escape. Now, this totem is going to spawn upstairs on the walkway and possibly down below underneath the staircase. So if you do happen to find yourself in the murder room, make some use out of it and break that totem. Now, another one of the more well-known rooms in this map is the large server room. This one has the large catwalk between the two sides of the two large pipes that you can usually jump down one of them and escape out of to the lower part of the room. Now, this totem is going to be upstairs, tucked away next to a server and behind some barrels, usually on the opposite side of the drop down that you can jump into the pipes from. In another configuration of the large server room, this one just has the single pipe. This totem is actually tucked underneath this lone staircase, and it's going to be in front of the server loop. So if you see the single staircase, check behind the barrels underneath, and you might be able to find a totem just hiding underneath there. This next room is the large storage room. Now, this one, as you can tell, has a lot of places that you might be able to tuck a totem. This first totem spawn we're going to take a look at is tucked away in the middle pallet loop to one of the sides. It's usually hidden behind a barrel or a box, so if you happen to be there and there's nobody around, just take a peek and you might find a totem there. Looking back in the large storage room, another configuration. This is one of the more deviously placed totems that I have found in Dead by Daylight. This one is along the outer wall of the room, and there's a lot of shelves and a lot of boxes, and in fact you would think you couldn't get back here, but it is pretty deep underneath here. Rather than just around the corner, you actually have to get yourself trapped in here in order to see this totem. So this one you've probably missed. Now, in this configuration of the large storage room, it's pretty open, and this totem's pretty easy to see. Again, it's going to be tucked between some boxes along the inside of the room. Not too hard to spot on this one, as it tends to spawn next to a generator. For the large storage room that has the configuration with the catwalk that goes between the two pallets, this totem is hiding next to one of the pallets on one of the sides, tucked behind a barrel, and as you can see here, there's a forklift also hiding it from view. So just keep an eye out. Alright, as we move upstairs, we're going to go into the upstairs meeting room. Now, this totem is pretty easy to spot. It's going to be in the corner between the window vault to the stairs and the doorway entering. And if it's lit, easy to see. If it's not lit, you might run right past it. Continuing down the hall, we have the small storage room that's next to the meeting room. You'll notice this by the mice and rat cages in the center. This totem is usually tucked away in the corner as well, between the vault window and the entry door. Alright, now this next totem I'm sure plenty of you have seen. In the upstairs there's a room with a chest and a bunch of lockers and some hazmat suits. This is the upstairs chest room. Now this totem is going to spawn just behind the door and next to the wall here. So as you're leaving, make sure you check to see if there's a totem up there. Alright, coming to the end, in the upstairs in the drop down room, this one is pretty easy to miss if you're kind of running for your life there. But this totem is going to be in the drop down room behind the bookcase just before the drop down. So make sure you check there if you have some time. Alright, going back downstairs during the editing of this, I forgot to add a couple. This one is in one of the small storage rooms that's kind of built up to the ceiling. This totem is in the corner behind some boxes, usually next to one of the broken open walls or the doorway. So keep an eye out for that one when you're downstairs. Alright, the last totem we're going to look at, I've labeled the double drop down room. This looks very similar to the murder room, as it has a small room with stairs up and a vault over. The double drop down meaning that you have actually 2 vaults down, but you're still probably going to get hit here if you don't play it right. Anyway, this totem is going to be hiding out underneath one of the staircases behind the barrels that are tucked underneath the stairs as well. So if you're not running for your life, take a quick peek around under the stairs and you might just find a totem there. Now, as I'm sure you guys saw, there were a ton of totems here. I didn't cover all of them, as some of them I felt were mostly covered because they seem very similar in like mostly the outer halls and the corners, that kind of stuff. Just they were slightly different orientation, but you know how to look for them now. I may have missed a couple of them, and if I did, please let me know down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you go ahead and like it. If you want to see more, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as you'll be notified when we release some more of the Surviving the Fog videos. Thanks everybody for hanging out, and I am so glad that the people over at BHVR have finally listened to the plea of the killers and helping hide some of those totem spawns from those nosy little survivors. So maybe we might actually get a token or two on Devoured Hope. Until next time, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and remember, stay safe out there in the fog.